Fernwood. Fernwood tonight. 30 minutes of very remarkable entertainment coming to you almost live. With your host for tonight, Mr. Barth Gimbel. Tonight, Barth's guest will be Mr. Lou Moffat, who had no feet to speak of. Mr. Benjamin Church, who has some secret information about secret information. And Happy Kind and the Mirth Makers. And me, I'm Jerry Hubbard, and I have some pictures of everybody's body. But right now, here's your host and mine, Mr. Barth Gimbel.
So much. Wow. Well, you know, if there's one part of show business I've always thought of as being kind of undignified and kind of silly, it wasn't the applause at the beginning. Thank you again. No, it was that whole thing about, well, fan clubs and, you know, for people who are just on TV. It just seemed like such an empty-headed waste of time and energy. And at the risk of being redundant, here's Jerry Hubbard. But I really felt that way.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Every time I sit down, you have to stop your monologue, and I feel so silly because you kind of breaks the flow, and you really had a nice roll going, as they say.
Right.
I hate doing it. I will not do it again.
Last thing in the world you want to do is come in here and interrupt me in the middle of something.
Well, you know, you usually have a thought in the audience by the time I get in, and here's Jerry, and I have something to say, and then they forget what the heck you were talking about to begin with.
Fortunately, I don't. At any rate, the Alaskan pipeline, I feel... No, we were talking about fan clubs and a bad attitude. And I think that attitude was actually all right, I suppose, for an earlier point in my career when I was kind of, you know, doing that angry young man kind of thing. But sure, I was against it then. But my head, well, it's been turned around a little bit by getting to know the young woman who is head of the Barth Gimbel fan club here in Fernwood. And she has been just doing a terrific job. Even though they did, I think this was in the paper, have a little unfortunate accident out at the county fair a couple of weeks ago when the fan club, we have a shed there. It collapsed in a high wind and injured a couple of people. But this young woman, right there, she had the smarts to stick around until everyone that had been involved in any way had signed a legal release form. So, we're not dealing with any dummy here. She's a great person. Would you please welcome the president of my fan club, the lady who was there when the shed hit the fans. Oh, gosh, I'm good. Please welcome Miss Mercedes Bleiweiss. Just immortal. So, are you all recovered from the ordeal out the fairgrounds?
Oh, yes, Barth, and it was worth it, every horrible minute. We had a whole lot of inquiries about our fan club. People wanted to know so much more about you.
Wow. Like what?
Well,
I love this.
like what you're really like. A lot of those. And then some people noticed your face on the official Barth Gimbel fan club button I was wearing, you know? Mm-hmm. And so then they said to me, who's that? But then I told them all about you.
Great. Well, I guess that's good to get the word out to those folks who have put off buying a television set until they've perfected 3D. Anyway, I understand you brought me something here tonight, Mercedes, and that's a very expensive name, incidentally.
Yeah,
you know that?
I know. My sister's name is Portia. Anyway, I brought you a plaque from our organization. We had to add another 50 cents to our dues last month to pay for this, you know. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've gotten the plaque assessment yet from Debbie Andrews, Gail Suggs, or Dodie Hudson. As a matter of fact,
I think that's old business, and I think you can do it. Next meeting. What's on the plaque?
Well, we don't have enough money yet to buy a piece of metal for the engraving this time. Probably when your show gets on earlier, you know, and next month when our new fan magazine, Barth Beat comes out with the 50 ways to love your Barth. Yeah, we'll have a lot more new members, and so we'll be able to splurge a little.
That'd be great.
But anyway, for the time being, what we did was we typed something up and had it varnished on. Could I read it to you?
Why don't you read it? You even use that typo stuff, we call whiteout. Rather than just making a strike over. That's the kind of people we're dealing with here. Go ahead.
To Barth, our very own super hunk. Oh, gosh. We think you're the best and the sexiest. And please don't ever shave your mustache off or we won't watch you ever again. Just kidding. Love, 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 love. Your fans.
Wow. How about it? All those loves are there, too. This is great. See that? It's just typewritten paper, but they use some sort of spray on it.
It's still a little sticky, so be careful.
Boy, that is...
I bet you, do you remember me as Cowboy Willie in the Uncle Funny Pants show?
No. You know, we did have one person ask about you, Larry.
Really? Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
Mercedes.
Oh, Barb, before I forget, I promised that I'd ask you to do me and Barb Deloche a favor.
If I can do it, well, I presume she's already paid her 50 cents.
Yeah.
Okay, if I can do it.
But could you do that thing, you know, where you put your hands up to stop the applause and smile?
You mean this?
Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh,
51.
I think you're just super, Barb.
Oh, just super? Well, I'll try for extra super from here on out. How's that? Okay. Thank you, Mercedes. This is... Boy, this is going to have to do, I guess, until I get an Emmy. This is just... I appreciate it so much, and I want to thank you and all the fans out there, sweetheart. And I promise I will get those glossies to you just as soon as your check clears. Mercedes, likewise, huh? Sweet little thing. I'm just thinking of something she said to me earlier. She said, you know, Barth, I just can't seem to get enough of you, and do you mind if I stick around? It's funny that I've had some girlfriends in the past who've left me for the very same reason. It shows you the way life balances itself. We'll be right back after these words. Don't go away.
This.
Thank you, Happy. Happy Kind, the orchestra. Can we hear it? The Mirth Makers. You may wonder why we're all smiling and looking especially cheery here tonight. Happy's just part of the reason. The real reason is that, well, I'll tell him, okay? You're too modest. Our own Jerry Hubbard has become an author. Huh? And as you know, Jerry started out on a kid's show for several years here in Fernwood. Jerry played Cowboy Willie on the Uncle Funny Pants show. How many? Well, a lot of people did watch it. And now he's put together an illustrated little book for the kids. It's on the subject, well, of all things, S-E-X.
Okay, you're right, but you know, there you are giggling again, and that is why I put this book together. Because I was hoping that this next generation of kids would be raised with a more mature attitude towards sex than we ever had. You know, a lot of us were really kept in the dark when it came to sex.
And a lot of us prefer it that way, Jerry. Especially married.
I know what you mean. Anyway, I have put together an illustrated book called Cowboy Willie's Sex Book, or What Mommy and Daddy Have Under Their Clothes. Now, I found the biggest problem with kids learning about sex is with the terminology that their parents use. All parents have their own words for parts of the body, and when the poor kids get out on the street and start talking about it, it's impossible to have an intelligent conversation because they're all confused about what are the right words. They're all using these different words. So I conducted a poll of some of the more intelligent parents here in Fernwood to find out what terms they're using in this day and age when they're telling their children about the facts of life.
Yeah.
And I put the most common terms in my book so these kids would all be speaking the same language, so to speak.
Well,
and
I think that's a great idea because I can recall very clearly when I was a child, my father tried to teach us the facts of life, to Garth and myself, and he was always talking about things like his whim wham and his piddler and things like that.
It's so reprehensible, and that is the problem. Because there was a time when some parents used just silly-sounding, nonsensical words, when the real words, there are real words we can use for the parts of our bodies.
Absolutely.
And, I mean, this is a modern day and age. We don't have to be prudes about it. For example, Daddy should teach his son that all men have a faucet. I should have a clicker. Maybe the audience should have a clicker when they have seen enough of the picture. They could click, and then I could turn the page. Because I don't want to turn it too fast. Some people are slower lookers.
I think they've probably seen plenty of it, Jerry.
Now, Mommy, at the same time, should be telling her little daughter about her oven. And also, she should tell her, quite frankly, that as she gets older, she will develop milk bottles. And, of course, now, I think this... If anyone is offended, I want to put this disclaimer in. If anyone is offended by a frank discussion about sex, now is the time to leave. Because we're going to get into some of the, shall I say, the heavy stuff. Now, because no sex book, now let's be frank, hopefully we're all adults here, no sex book would be complete unless it dealt with how a baby is made or reproduction. Reproduction. Someone leaving? All right, I don't want to offend anyone. Mommy should explain that she has a fire in her oven. And Daddy comes to the rescue with his faucet. And then when they get together, this happens.
What does this mean, Jerry? They give each other Dutch elm disease?
Well, no. No, but in the movies, when it comes to sex, you know, they always pan up to the trees in the sky and all, and I wanted this book to be in fairly good taste. Anyway, I end up telling the kids that the good thing is that the dirty part doesn't last very long, and once that is over, the miracle of life begins, and the stork drops a baby boy or a girl, a brother and sister on the porch, and then, of course, Mommy can start feeding him. Yeah, Mommy starts feeding. If you can see the straw in the bottle.
I see that. Jerry, I know I'll never turn on the tap again or bake a casserole without getting really warm and runny inside. I think you also neglected to put in these drawings the unfurnished apartment. In the meantime, I guess you parents out there can feel a little bit better knowing that that the things you teach your children at home are now available in print. Very, very nice. You did some of this drawing yourself, didn't you?
As much as I could. I worked from photographs and did some...
But I noticed on this one particular one here, the fire chief's hat is done in crayon after the book is printed. Is that your own...
It was
your own personal copy?
Yeah, because this is where he puts out the fire.
Yeah, I got that.
If, you know, I wanted to make an educational film out of this, in which case you'd have ding, 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 and, you know...
I think we were better off when we called it a ding-ding. We'll be right back after these words.
Remember all the...
Takes them a while without you over there, Hap. We're back, and thanks to Jerry's book here, I think we all know where Jerry's head is at when it comes to sex, if it, in fact, it ever does. How about you, Happy? How do you feel about sex education?
Well, I think they're just taking things too far. You know, in all the movies and all the magazines, I think it's just degrading. You know, first there was Playboy, and then Penthouse, and then came Hustler and Cavalier, was that the one? And then along comes We, and For Gentlemen Only, and Snapshot Nurses, and Stewardesses in Chains. I don't know where it's going to go.
Well, I would almost venture to say you do know where it's going to go.
Well, I guess that I'm just the old-fashioned type. You know, I believe that sex belongs in the home.
I was very surprised one day when my brother Conrad and I came home from school earlier than we were supposed to. Conrad! I hope he doesn't hear this. He's going to kill me for telling this. But we walked in, and we were shocked to find my mother sitting there showing her appendectomy scar to the delivery boy from the LaSalle dry cleaners. Well, not only were we surprised and embarrassed to see our mother sitting there in the nude, but we didn't even know she'd ever had her appendix out. And you know something else? 4 years later, she had to go to the hospital to have it taken out again.
Tonight we welcome a brand new sponsor to our show, so please listen to these very, very important words.
Thank you, Bart. You know, as a consumer advisor, I travel the length and breadth of this great country of ours, sure, investigating consumer rip-offs. This time in the field of the dance studio business, but there is one that I can recommend, of course. The Mr. Boogie Dance Studio, sure. Hey, how many times have you heard that song and said to yourself, gee, my golly, I've sat through the entire dance like a plastic fern? Well, really, friends, there's no longer any need to suffer the heartbreak of two left feet, because the Mr. Boogie Dance Studios has got it all together, sure. I know it used to be, you know, the only people that dance with South Americans are those fortunate few lucky enough to have roots in the Gambian River. Well, that's the old sure. I know it used. I used to say the same thing. You know, if a guy danced well, it either meant there was something funny about him. You know what I mean, friends? Or he doesn't have a steady job. Sure. You know, that's the old work ethic. You know, I used to say, hey, I'm an American. I can't dance, and I'm proud of it. Hey, well, that's sure. Well, that's all changed, friends. Yes, thanks to the Mr. Boogie Dance Studios, everybody's dancing, everybody's romancing. Look right over here, friends. Take a look at this. Just follow the easy steps. Look at this. 1 and 2 step, turn, twist, and back. Look at that, friends. Hey, you're dancing, you're having fun. After a few more weeks, friends, look at that. A few more steps like these, sure. Yeah, you're ready for the Bolshoi Ballet, aren't you, friends? Sure. You know, the tango, the samba, the foxtrot, all the latest steps. You know, friends, just last week, I couldn't dance a step, and look at me now, friends, this week, I'm dancing, I'm romancing, I'm having fun, sure. And so can you, too, friends. Why, any uncoordinated klutz can get up and get it on and get it off and get her on the floor, and so can you, too, friends, and I can prove it. Sure. How about a volunteer from the audience, just some uncoordinated housewife, just some dumpy... Here's come one... Hey, come on right over here, would you? Come right over here. Let's give her a hand. Come on, come right over here. Sure. Isn't she lovely? And what is your name, please?
Winona DeLucci.
Winona DeLucci. How about, hey, that's an ethnic name, isn't it? God bless you, sweetheart. Where are you from, Mrs. DeLucci?
Here in Fernwood.
Right here in Fernwood. How about that? Yeah, how about a hand for Fernwood? Sure. Knock it off. Give her a chance, huh? Sure. Let me ask you something, Mrs. DeLucci. Can you dance?
No.
Well, listen to me, Mrs. DeLucci. You're going to dance. Look into my eyes, Mrs. DeLucci. Do you have faith, Mrs. DeLucci?
No.
Do you have confidence, Mrs. DeLucci?
No.
Have you got $50, Mrs. DeLucci?
Yes.
You're going to dance, Mr. Bellucci. Music. Follow me, Mr. Bellucci. Look at this. That's it. Good. That's it. Turn and twist. How about that? Turn around, Mr. Bellucci. Let me take your coat here. Get into it. That's it. Good. Look at that. How about that? Sure. She never danced a step before tonight. Isn't that amazing? Mr. Boogie Dance Studios, $50 brings you all the latest steps, the bump, the swim, the hustle, the twist, the hokey. That's it, Mr. Bellucci. The hokey, pokey, the shimmy, the sailor's hornpipe, flamenco, pachanga, polka, Charleston, the shoe platter. Yes, everybody's dancing. You folks right here, get up and dance. Sure. Everybody stand up and dance. Look at that. And you folks at home, dance your way over to your checkbook and send a check right now to Mr. Boogie Dance Studio, P.O. Box 78924, Fernwood, Ohio, 45989. How about that? Yep, run good. Hey, have you got $50? Would you like to dance? Sure. Oh, yes, How about you?
Well, we just have a few seconds to say goodnight here. I hope everyone had a good time. I want to thank all my guests. I especially thank you, Jerry, and the thinking man's James Joyce here. Wonderful. Also, I hope you people out there in our studio audience got your 80 cents worth. I'm really sorry we have to charge you to come in here tonight, but let's face it, the money goes to a good cause, and the wood for these plaques does not grow on trees, okay? Thank you very much, and good night.
Also appearing on tonight's show were Wendy Cutler as Mercedes Bleiweiss, Lou Felder as Lou Moffat, and Tybee Bracia as Winona DeLucci.